Rockefeller Brothers Fund advances social change that contributes to a more just, sustainable, and peaceful world. We, as a family, have roots in both capitalism and philanthropy, so it's not a stretch to continue those family values in a new form of values-aligned investing or impact investing.
The Rockefeller Brothers Fund is a philanthropy that has as its major focus the issue of climate change. We made the decision to divest from all fossil fuels. It was a decision based on, frankly, the moral discomfort of being a grant-making institution that is providing grants to combat global warming on the one hand, and remaining invested in the very companies that were producing the fossil fuels causing global warming.
We wanted to align our programming in sustainable development with our endowment, which is one of our greatest tools.
Traditionally, the idea with foundation investing is you make as much money as you can almost blindly without consideration to how the money is made. And then in a totally different room at a totally different time, you give that money away. In 2010, we at RBF had made this commitment to invest up to 10% of our endowment in a way that aligns with the mission. And what we found was that the outsourced CIO that we were working with at the time had us in commingled funds with their other clients. So structurally, it was actually difficult to pursue that goal. And we decided to move our entire endowment to another outsourced CIO that would treat us as a separate account to both divest of fossil fuels, but also proactively make impact investments across private debt, real assets, and private equity in managers that would further the RBF's mission. And those investments needed to have significant and measurable impact.
We're looking at financial performance first and foremost, but it's also how are we defining the greater impact of the portfolio?
And we are committed at this point to giving our children the same philanthropic resources that we have.
When we started with the RBF, and we developed the investment policy statement collectively, it was made very clear that there was to be no degradation of return assumptions or increased risk. This was a market-level type of portfolio with this overlay on top.
The overall return objectives remain unchanged. So as a typical foundation, our objective is to beat inflation by a margin of around 5% over the long term. Our portfolio's asset allocation and the type of investments in that portfolio are consistent with that objective over a long period of time. At the same time, though, we acknowledge that we're passionately committed to divesting from our fossil fuel investments. That will mean that our portfolio will look different than a conventional market cap-based portfolio. So we're prepared to take a bit of risk vis-a-vis looking different, but the overall endpoint, our objective is to be the same as it was before we embarked on this.
What really excites me about impact investing is the opportunity to prove the case that not only should it be done, but to prove how it can be done and that it can be done in a way that is transparent.
And so we have moved past our original 10% goal of impact investing. We're currently at 12% and moving over the years towards 20%.
I think we've exceeded our expectations about what we could accomplish already just by virtue of the fact that we've had such a big impact on the way people think about this stuff.
What's been another pleasant surprise are the number of organizations out there who know what the RBF is doing, who have reached out to us and said, we want to talk to you about what you've done for the RBF and see if it's something that you can do for us.
And so the proof will be in the pudding, and ultimately the best contribution I think we can make is to ultimately perform.
I'm very proud of the way the institution has risen to this challenge. And in particular, it's this combination that I think is so wonderful about this foundation of a family that is, in many ways, America's first family of philanthropy, that has worked for successive generations to try to achieve major social change. Coming to grips with the original source of the wealth and the future of our planet, and making a decision to be consistent with the needs that we see going out in this century.
I think the decision the RBF made to divest from fossil fuels is probably the single most impactful thing we've done on climate change.
Let us, with faith in God, in ourselves and in humanity, go forward courageously resolved to play our part worthily in building a better world.